Welcome to ReBloom, a podcast about change, creativity, and coming back to yourself.
We are Lori and Jamie, and this is a space for honest conversations with people who felt that quiet nudge to realign, whether that's in their work, their creativity, or their everyday lives.
Each episode is a conversation about becoming, about listening closely, making shifts, and finding your way back to what matters.
So if you are in a season of change, you're questioning or starting again, we are really glad you're here. Oh my gosh, I wish that I could go every week out to coffee with our guest and just chat about her life, her experiences, how she sees the world, all of it. I did get the honor of spending some time with her a couple years ago, and I long to spend more time with Mary Engelbreit.
Mary Engelbreit is our guest today, everyone, and she had a magazine called Home Companion, and I loved this magazine. In fact, I still have many copies of this magazine that I've saved because she is the friend or the companion that I think we all always wanted. And when she came into your home, whether it was her beautiful products or her magazine, you felt like you were getting a warm hug. And I hope you will feel that today when you hear her journey and how incredible her past almost 50 years have been in the art world. It's just a beautiful story.
And kind of unheard of to have that longevity.
And a few pivots along the way. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and you are going to enjoy this amazing conversation with Mary Engelbreit. Hey, my friend Lori, how are you today?
Well, it's been freezing here, James. So I've been holed up in the house and filming classes and painting in my journal and I don't know, trying to stay warm.
I think we're all hibernating and we're all kind of trying to get cozy. And I think this is the perfect guest for that kind of feeling when you want to get cozy and warm and just feel like you've had a big hug. Huh?
That is so true. So this is a special interview with my friend Mary Engelbreit, who I was honored to do some work for a couple years ago. But she is kind of the pioneer queen of art licensing from the very start of it. But she's pivoted in so many interesting ways. She's had retail stores. She's written umpteen books. She had an amazing magazine called Home Companion, which was my favorite magazine of all time.
Mine too.
And I know she's pivoting again in her business. And so we just want to welcome you on and hear more about your story. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary. Welcome.
How are you guys?
We are good. We are good. And Mary, Lori gets to know you. This is just an honor. I like Lori have loved your work for years. And so thank you for joining us today and sharing your journey.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm going to just start, Laura. I'm going to start with...
You do it this time.
I know. Lori loves to go back to when you were a child. And I was like, well, maybe we should start with more what she did if she went to art school or that type of thing. But you do have a lot of, obviously, children in your illustration. So I guess we should start. Did your love of art start as a child? And how did that evolve?
Oh, it definitely did. And I think it was because my mother read to us every night. And a lot of the books were older. They were either hers or her mother's when they were children. And so they had these great, old illustrations, which I loved as much as the books. And so I would start by illustrating those books myself or copying those illustrations. And I always wanted to be an artist, and I always wanted to illustrate books. And my mother said I said that from when I was very young. So yeah.
Interesting. Did they encourage that? Did they encourage?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So supportive. Always had art supplies in the house and never questioned that I what I wanted to do. Um, Gave me art lessons and yeah, just so supportive.
Very similar in my house, but did
Mhm.
like my parents, neither one of them were artists.
Oh,
So
no,
I
mine
was
weren't
kind of
either.
an oddball, but they still encouraged it. Was that the same for you?
Exactly. Yeah, neither one of them were artists, but they were fine with it, you know? I found out later my father said, "How is she gonna make a living
Yeah.
doing this?" But he never said that to me.
Really?
No, and
Huh.
as a matter of fact, when I was older, I wanted to buy I had been working in an art supply store, and I was saving my money because I wanted to buy an art table. Um, and he said, "Absolutely, you should get that. If you're gonna be an artist, you should have the best equipment you can get, and you should definitely, buy all the supplies you need." And it was like this permission, but I always felt that I had permission, but he wasn't you know, what do I wanna say? He was like all men,
Yeah,
didn't
my
have
more
that
black and
much to
white.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, it was just so encouraging to hear him say that.
I
Wow.
love that.
Yeah.
Did you end up going to school for art?
I didn't. I hated school.
Ah,
Um, and I just could not wait to get out and work. I wanted to work.
okay.
So you probably have heard this story. Everybody's probably heard this boring story, but I got a job at an art supply store that I had been going to all my life, and so I met a lot of working artists there coming in to buy their supplies. So I realized that you could make a living doing it. A lot of great people work there, and that's where I learned. They had supplies for every single kind of art you could think of, and so that's where I learned a lot about different art supplies because I had only ever been using pen and ink. Um, and I had my first show there. So that was a great place to work. And then my next job was at a little tiny ad agency uh, down in this really fun neighborhood called the Central West End here in St. Louis. And he taught me, how to deal with clients, how to lay out an ad, which I had no clue, all those things that I assume you learn in art school. I don't know. But, and then how to bill for my time, what your time is worth and that kind of thing. So between those two jobs, I feel like I got a great art education.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting way to get educated.
Yeah,
Like both the practical, like one, the art supplies were how to make the work, and
right.
then the other, how to make a living with
It
the art.
It was and I don't even think you do learn that in art school. Maybe you do now, but you
No, you
definitely
don't.
didn't
You
then.
No, I don't know if even today if they teach that.
They
Yeah.
should.
They
Yeah,
should.
They
they
absolutely
probably should.
should. They absolutely should. So
Yeah,
you were with the ad agency and then were you drawing all along
yeah.
or yeah.
That's what I did. It was just the 2 of us. It was
Okay.
the guy and me, and so he handled getting the clients and all the business end of it, and I did, most of the drawing.
That's
We
amazing.
did ads for, like, St. Louis companies, Brown Shoe, and remember designing a couple of shoe boxes for them, and, 7 Up and things like that, and then smaller business clients. It
Oh,
was it was
cool.
great, fun. It was
So
a lot of
how did the card line come about? Was that your first foray into licensing?
Yes. I After he left town, moved back to Texas, I took on some of those clients freelance, and then how did this go? So long ago. I started, uh, having shows at a little bookstore here in town, and I would draw these little things that I eventually turned into cards. But, even before then, in high school, I, was drawing cards for a local store. I bought some blank wedding invitations, and I would hand draw every card, and I was mainly illustrating lines from songs like Crosby, Stills and Nash and Joni Mitchell. It's
Oh.
totally illegal. But I was just, selling them to this local store. She'd pay me 25 cents each and
Oh my.
sold
Oh
them for
my gosh.
and so that was my first foray into the card business. And then after I started having these shows and they were so popular, they were sold out, everything would sell out the first day. And my husband had a good friend who was in publishing in New York, and he set up some interviews for me at book publishers. And which is very nice of him, but that is not how book publishers hire artists. They have their own stable of artists and but they all saw me, which I thought was so nice. I'm sure I can credit my husband's friend for that. But one of them suggested, none of them wanted me to illustrate books, but one of them suggested, why don't you do greeting cards? And I don't know why I hadn't thought of that since I had
Yeah,
already
it's like right in front of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just
already
don't see
doing
it.
it. Yeah. And they are always, and I believe this is still true, they're always looking for the next new thing. So I sent some of my work to about 3 different ones, and they all took them.
How
That's
about that?
amazing.
Yeah. But then I eventually went with Sunrise, which is no longer, but it was a great company back
That's
then.
amazing. So
Wow.
so tell us a little bit how that evolved into your full-blown business
Yeah.
and I know you had some pivots where some things went awry in the business and you had to pivot because of that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
share all the tea.
The without names, I will
Yeah,
share
without
No,
names.
and because it's helpful, Mary, for our audience to know that, I mean, just like you started with cards, you started slow. I think
Mhm.
when people look at a brand like yours, they see, as Lori said in the very beginning, books and, I mean, everything, wallpaper, rugs, I mean, everything. You've got so much happening, and they think, oh, I could never do that. But you started with cards and
Right,
grew
and
from
we,
there.
took them our pitiful little card line, I think it was 12 or 16 cards, to the New York, stationery show, which we
Yes.
knew nothing about. We didn't know you were supposed to, deck out your booth, and, we had a card table with the
Yeah.
cards, and the people next to us would not even speak to us. They were, like, humiliated that we were
Oh
even there.
my gosh.
But we were getting a lot of attention, and the good thing was, New York Magazine came through, and they really liked him, and they took pictures, and they featured it in their next issue, and it was really an amazing boost that we just got because they happened to be walking down that aisle, and that really, helped us. But in the meantime, it was just getting a lot of attention at that show, and we were approached by, um, Workman Publishing, um,
Mhm.
who I'm actually doing a book with right now. But and they wanted to do, I think a calendar first. And they said, we want a license with you. And we were like, we didn't know what licensing was. So we hurried up and looked that up, found out what it was, asked around. And then we were approached by several other people, including a couple of agents, licensing agents. And so we were just kind of thrown into it at that show,
Mm,
learning minute by minute as we were at that show, and got a couple of licenses
how
there.
about that?
Yeah.
This reminds me of our first trip to a show. It's similar. We had no idea what we were doing, and we prototyped all these products with our art on it, and a lot of people, because the comps were so nice, people thought, oh, they've already licensed in all those categories. So, we live
Yeah.
and learn. Like, we didn't know what we were doing,
Yeah. You thought you were
but
doing the right
but
thing.
you just do it. And like so many funny stories about how we got our stuff delivered there. And
Oh, yeah.
you look back sometimes on the way you did things and you're like, oh my God, that was hilarious.
It
But
really
it's live and
was.
learn.
It really was hilarious.
So
Um,
about what time was this, Mary? Like, was this in the 80s? In
yeah,
the
it's in the
80s?
80s.
Yeah. So let's also help it.
Yeah.
Pre-internet,
Oh,
pre-everything. Yeah.
pre-phones,
Pre.
pre-everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was yeah, you were on your own, you know,
Yeah.
which worked out fine for us.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't imagine well, it is. It's so much easier now,
Yeah.
and, everything's done on the internet, and, uh, you can't do it the way I did it anymore. It's just not done like that anymore.
Right.
Licensing isn't the same.
No.
Companies aren't the same. The stores that buy it aren't the same. Totally different. People ask for my advice, but I have no idea how you do that now. But it was
Yeah.
very different then,
Yeah.
and it was just a great time to be in that business. Plus, my cards were pretty different than anything that was out there. Cards before, like when I was little, were all animals, puppies and kittens and or flowers.
Yeah.
And so then I came with these black backgrounds and funny sayings on the front. And so it got a lot of attention just because it was different, you know. So that was lucky.
Where did your style, when did that Mary Engelbreit style start to evolve? And like, was it back then in the cards and then it kind of blossomed from there?
I would say it started when I was, being shown those antique children's books, and I would copy them.
Interesting.
And so you can see it. I mean, I just ripped off Johnny Gruel, who did the Raggedy Ann and Andy books, those little round flowers that I draw all the time. And so, because that's how you learn when you're little.
Yeah.
You copy and then you slowly develop your own style. You'd rather have it look like this instead of that.
What I love about all of your work is your messaging and how it
Hmm.
connects with people. And I also love your Mary Engel Dark line
Yeah,
because that messaging, well, you can talk about that, but it's a little snarky and
a little.
funny,
Yeah.
and people can connect on that side as well.
We were surprised how well that went. Um, because that happened, well, fairly recently, before COVID. This is how I judge everything. Before
Yeah.
COVID,
BC.
Yeah.
right. Um, and things had slowed down. I mean, we're jumping ahead here, but in 2008, when the bottom fell out of the uh, financial situation for everybody, everything changed. Like overnight, everything
Mm.
changed, and everything kind of ground to a halt, actually. Um, and we had always joked around in the studio about funny versions of these sweet cards that I was doing.
Yeah.
And we would always laugh about it and joke around. And I thought, that would be kind of funny to illustrate some of those. And, we'll just do them in black and white and call it Mary Engel Dark. Um, and we put them out thinking, we just didn't know what to think. I did not think um, people would accept them or like
Yeah.
them. They just went through the roof. They were so popular. Um, we were shocked, but they're
Yeah.
fun to do and they're easy to do, and
Yeah.
they're faster to do. Um, and there is no shortage of ideas or funny
Yeah.
No.
memes or funny quotes. So yeah, it turned out to be, and now we license um, calendars and shirts and all kinds of things with the ankle dark illustrations too.
That's amazing.
This episode of ReBloom is brought to you by Jet Creative, a women-owned creative studio and longtime friends of our podcast.
Jet Creative partners with brands and individuals to help clarify their story, strengthen their visual presence, and communicate with intention.
Their work is rooted in collaboration, care, and the belief that thoughtful creativity has the power to connect with people in meaningful ways.
We are extremely grateful for their continued support of ReBloom and the conversations we care so deeply about.
You can learn more about Jet Creative and their work by visiting the link in our show notes.
Before we continue, we just want to share this.
This May, we're gathering for the Live Courageously ReBloom Conference, a few intentional days to pause, connect, and rebloom.
If you are craving space to reflect and reconnect, we'd love to have you with us.
Details are in the show notes, and now let's jump back into our conversation.
I have so many questions and so many
I know.
areas
I know. We're all like, I'm like, wait a minute. So let us take a quick step back to that 2008 timeframe that you alluded to, because it was when the market crashed and everything changed. So, you get going, the licensing's going, the brand is growing, your Mary Engelbreit brand is strong and it's everywhere. And then the market crashes and everything comes to a halt. What happens to the brand at that point, Mary?
Well, it was, we kept going, but it was, what happened was all those mom and pop stores closed. And that was our biggest customer. And they all closed. And we were also in the middle of the magazine, and all those advertisers stopped advertising.
Yeah.
And without advertising, you can't put out a magazine. It's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So that happened. The stores closed. And we just really had to sit back. And it also used to be, when I first started out, manufacturers would license with you. So they'd make their products with our designs on them, and then they would go out and sell to the stores. Well, that all stopped, and it was up to us to sell to the stores or to find somebody. They wouldn't license all of a sudden unless you had a store waiting for it. Nobody was going to do anything on speculation. So it totally reversed. And, we just had to kind of scramble a little bit and figure out how to do that. Had to sell to bigger stores. I'm trying to think where we were. Well, we were in Barnes and Noble, and I think we did a program once with Target. We had a really nice program with Michaels for a long time, and so you kind of just had to refocus. And you were also making different products. You weren't making these cute little figurines anymore. Nobody had money to spend on those.
Right.
And so the stores weren't buying them. So we just kind of had to reverse everything and keep going.
And diversify. I mean, that's the interesting thing. You've always had a very diverse brand. I mean, that's kind of the thing that I've always admired about your overall brand, is that there's a little bit in different places, which does allow for that flexibility when things like then and even things like now happen. I mean, you can kind of pivot. But Lori has a question.
What was the time frame for? Did you have more than one retail store?
We had 12.
Whoa.
All across the country in malls. That was another thing. Malls dropped into nothing. Nobody could afford to be in a mall. My gosh, it was so expensive, which was fine at the beginning. We were doing great, but when that crash happened, the malls went under. And it was also, there was another thing with it, was that it was such an intense business, that retail thing. And you had to have a whole different staff in every store, and then a whole different staff here running all of those people. There was theft, not a lot, but I mean, things that we never had to deal with before.
Right.
Shoplifting and turning over of staff at these stores, and we couldn't, we weren't around to watch it like we were used to. So we could kind of see the handwriting on the wall, and we started closing the stores.
Yeah.
How big has your staff gotten to, and where are you now?
We just have 6 people now,
Yeah, I
which
know
is
you're pretty
perfect.
small, but
Yeah.
how at your peak,
How big was it?
before all that?
So many people, it was ridiculous. Um, it really was ridiculous. We didn't need them. But uh, I was just thinking about why that actually happened, but we won't go into that. But I would say at the height, we had over 40 employees.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
I'd walk in there and I wouldn't even know some of them. And I said, this has gotten way out of hand, and we need to rein this in.
You,
So that
it's interesting when we have these conversations too. It's always, I always say, what's the view at the top of the mountain? Like, what do you want it to look like with some
not
people who are just starting out? And I think sometimes, oh, I want to be big and famous and but then you forget that the bigger you get, the more responsibilities you have, and
and
actually the less
the farther
creative
away
you
you
are.
get from the art
Yeah. Yeah.
too. So you have
Yeah.
to decide what you want. And hiring people to, if you want to get that big, or if you do get that big, um, you you hire people to do all the things you don't want to do, which as an artist is like pretty much you don't
Yeah.
want to do any of
Yeah.
that. Just draw. And so you have to decide, is that really how you want to run your business? Which is
Right.
fine if you do, it's great. And some people are really good at that. Um, but this had taken a turn into the uh, really kind of stupid levels. And it turns out that the guy working for us wanted to join an executives club. And to join that club, you had to have a certain number of employees.
Ah.
Yeah.
Ah.
So
Gotcha.
so they were gone
So
shortly
connect the
thereafter.
dots there.
And
Connect the
we
dots.
sold that big studio, which was beautiful. It was in an old church, and it was so great. But we didn't need all that space anymore, and so we just brought everything back down to normal.
So when you bring it all in and you kind of hug it all in and you push away the stuff that no longer matters or
Hmm.
does matter, but you've kind of edited, let's say, and
Right.
you're pivoting to really the foundation parts of where you want to move forward. What did you see, and what did you hold on to and move forward?
Well, I wanted to concentrate just on the. I'm taking this ring off. It's catching on the sweater's driving me
Oh,
insane. Um, we decided, we want to concentrate on what is the core of the company, which is the drawings. And so it was pretty easy to, once you decided that, what to cut out, and what you didn't need anymore. Um, so um, it just became easier and easier as I saw what I wanted, which was a more manageable company, like it was at the beginning, when I could watch everything and see everything that was going on and be on top of it.
I can relate to this because I wasn't up to 40 people, but 12, and even 12,
Hmm.
it's a whole different ball game managing people. And I
Yeah,
had
it's a
people
whole
when they
different
left, they're
job.
like, "You didn't even say hi to me most days," because I would come in and I just had so much work to do, and I had 2 little kids. And you realize, though, when you're managing a whole staff, how do you make
Hmm.
them feel valued, and all the things that go with that. It's a
It's
lot,
it's yeah, and it is a lot, and it sucks all your energy, I think, away from the art.
right?
At least in my case.
Well,
yeah.
I'm same. Some people are gifted at that.
Hmm. They
You
are.
know,
They can handle it.
I have an architect friend, and we both started around the same time, and his firm's at like 72 people now. And I think of that and it makes me cringe.
I know.
Yeah.
I know
Like,
exactly
oh,
what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So pulled into the core of your company.
Mhm.
Talk to us about what are some of those core things. Obviously, the drawings and the magazine went away.
Magazines sadly went away.
Yeah,
That
sadly
was
for a lot of people.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that's the thing I get asked about the most.
Yeah.
When are you gonna bring that back?
I shared with Mary before we got on here the copies that I've kept for, oh God, I probably have 10 of them or so that I've kept for years. I can't get rid of them. I just can't get rid
Yeah.
of them.
They
They still
were
look
the
good. They still
magazine
look
you kept.
relevant. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they still look relevant, but, um so that was sad. That was the sad part to have to let that go. Um, but yeah, you get down to the drawings and then what are you gonna put those on? The cards, we have cards now with a couple different companies, but, the thing is, young people, they don't buy cards. I don't think
Right.
my kids, either one of my kids has ever bought a greeting card in their lives. They just email people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's a tough business now. That's very tough business now. Um, we're still in it, but it's not our main thing. Um, calendars are the same.
Yeah.
People our age use calendars because we like the pictures, and we that's what we're used to, and so it's still a huge business for us, but definitely nowhere near what it was. Young people don't use those either. You know,
Yeah.
So I know your daughter, and does Will still work with you as well?
not as much. No.
Okay, so Michaela's there working with you.
Mhm.
Is she bringing some young energy? And I know
Yes.
that you've shifted. You do a lot of your own products
Yes,
now.
we do. Yeah, actually, that's why we hired Michaela. She was saying, every once in a while she'd say, why are you doing this? You could do it this way. Or why do you dress those kids in such old-fashioned clothes? Why don't you jazz it up a little? So she was coming up with all these things, and Nikki Ball, who runs my company, said, "Why don't we just hire her to do the social media and everything that we weren't really staying on top of that." And when we did, it looked like, 1980 on social media. So, we did. We hired her, and she's fantastic, and has gotten us on into all these different, versions of social media and does ads and things like that, and, um so between the 2 of them, Nikki and Michaela, I got this hot modern business going.
That's
That's awesome.
amazing.
I have
That's
nothing
amazing.
to do with yeah.
Well, and it's funny because Lori just went to Atlanta to the market, and I said, "So what's hot now?" And she goes, "Nostalgia." So now
Yeah, I
it's
know.
all
I
like,
know,
Well,
it's
I
true.
think just because people are just longing for, I don't know, comfort,
Comfort.
cozy,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely,
peace, all of those things.
definitely, and that is true, although you have to be able to sell that in a modern way, so,
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, but it is definitely true.
Are you still licensing your work?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do, but, licensing is not the same either.
No.
They can do anything they want on computers, they don't need to pay an artist.
right.
There's it's very different now. What we really do is collaborations with different companies, which is fun, but they're short, and
Yeah,
so you have to keep doing it, keep finding people to do it. And we've had great success with all of them, and also it's just a lot of fun working with other small companies like that
Yeah, I've
who
seen some of
understand.
them in your social media and they all look so much fun.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a great way to do it, I think. Not as lucrative as it used to be, though, when
Right.
you would
right.
Right.
sign a deal and they would sell to stores all over the country, and for years, they'd keep it going. So everything is absolutely, totally different than it
Yeah.
was at the beginning.
It's interesting how you started with the cards and you started local and small,
Mhm.
and you grew this brand, this massive brand. And it sounds like with everything, with obviously licensing, changing everything, you're sort of circling right back to these lovely small shops and working with these local companies. And it's not as small as it was, obviously, but because you built
Mhm.
this gorgeous brand. But it's interesting. It seems more personal. It seems like because you've got the
Yeah.
6 employees and yeah.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. There are pros and cons to each, but I really like just having the 6 of us, and who knows, we may have to expand that a little bit, depending on how things go. But everything is so uncertain now. Who
Yeah.
knows what will be happening next year?
So here's a question for you too about obviously technology has changed. I'm gonna flip it. Oops, sorry. Oh, I just knocked over a frame. Sorry about that. Um, Technology has changed quite a lot. Obviously, since the '80s, and your art supplies. When you draw, do you draw with markers and pen and pencil, or do you do on the computer, or how has that shifted for you over the years?
No, I don't know how to do that on the computer. Um, no, art my little art staff of 2, my art director and, uh, my other artists, they know how to do it. And so, it's kinda taken a burden off of me when you screw up a drawing. It used to be you'd have to almost start over, to
Yeah.
fix it. Now you hand it to them and say, "Move her arm." Looks normal. Um, so they use it, but I don't. I draw the same way I've always drawn.
I love that. And do you draw every day?
Uh-huh, I do.
It's funny because I'm the same, Mary. I don't do hardly, I mean, I do all my business stuff on the computer, but I do everything by hand, analog
Mhm,
style, and
Yeah.
then hand it over to somebody to do all the
to
digital
fix
stuff.
it, yeah, to make
I
it
know.
work.
I was surprised because I said to Lori, I said something about Photoshop because I'm a photographer, so I do a ton in Photoshop and everything. She goes,
Mhm.
"I don't know how to do that." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know how to do that?"
I
She's like,
know, I know. I
like,
mean,
okay.
I did years ago dabble in it, but I thought that's gonna eat. I like touching the paint and
I do
Yeah.
touching the
too.
clay and drawing, and I
My son is starting to, draw on the computer, and he's like, "You gotta do this." Actually, they bought that computer for me, and I never touched it. And, he said, "You gotta try this again, it's so great," and he's showing me how he's doing it. And, you have to go pick out a color and then click and then figure out how to make that color lighter or darker and then drag it over the drawing. I said, I can pick up a pencil.
Yeah.
I can do this in about half the time, it seems like to me, but and also much more flowing way to draw the way
I
Yeah.
I
I
love how my daughter uses Procreate though, because she does a lot of drawing first and then brings it into Procreate and plays with it, and
yeah. Oh,
it's
they look
funny.
like they're
So
having
she
fun.
she gets used you get used to the double tap where you can like delete something, and
Yeah.
she
And
was
it's
painting
nice.
once, like a
Yeah,
painting, and she double tapped the canvas because she was like so used to being able to do that.
and then realized, "Oh, no, I
Oh
Yeah,
can do
no,
this
I can't do
myself."
that.
doesn't work that
Yeah.
way.
She's so good, I love her work.
Oh, I'll pass that on.
She
I
That's
really
think so
great.
is.
too.
She really is. But, yeah, and it's fun to watch them, and it's also fun to be able to hand them a drawing and have them alter it to fit on whatever product or, you
Hmm.
know, change it somehow. Like, we'll get requests from companies that they want, oh, say, winter kids doing winter things. And so they'll take drawings, uh, pieces from a lot of different drawings, but then they have to, and I have no idea what they do, they have to make them all look kind of the same, like the weight of the line and everything, and they can do that on the computer
Yeah.
and make
Yeah.
them all work together. So it's great. I just don't wanna do it myself.
Well, I know from experience when we worked with you, like we got the opportunity to take apart your work and pull elements out and make patterns, and you have
Right,
so much to work with in
and
your imagery.
that's really fun to watch when you did that and to watch, anybody, my art staff, anybody take all these different things from the drawings. Yeah, I think about that when I'm drawing. Like if I'm drawing a dress on somebody, I'm thinking, well, this border would make really cute stationery or look
Right.
good on a picture frame. I'm thinking that way when I'm drawing. And it's
That's
fun to
interesting.
have somebody new come in with new eyes and look at it all and think of different ways to use it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
great.
So, what are some of the secrets to longevity since you've been doing this for a long time?
Yeah. You got me. Just keep doing it. Um, I don't know. I guess a lot of my drawings, I think they illustrate everyday things, that happen to other people, happen to everybody. And so when
Mm.
they look at the drawings, they kind of recognize that situation. I always think I draw situations more than I draw, like, uh, well, like Laura, you do all those cool birds and things like that. And I don't draw things like that necessarily. I draw um, situations, I think. So people recognize themselves, and we hear a lot that they'll buy one to send to a friend who it means something to, and then they keep one for themselves. So
Mm.
Mm,
I think that helps with the longevity thing.
yeah, I think your
Yeah.
work just always touches the heart. And I think that is like when I think of different brands, like Willow Tree is another one that's had longevity. And again, those are little statuary pieces that their situations or moments in
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And
People want those to
yeah,
commemorate something in their
right.
lives. Yeah.
I would say too, Mary, we had a private conversation earlier, and a lot of times people will say to me, I don't have the words, but I think that what you do is you help people, you give people the words that they need.
Hmm.
Sometimes people really don't have the words to say, however they're feeling good
Right.
or bad or snarky or however it may be, but
Hmm.
they need someone to give them the language that they can say, yep, that is how I feel. And
Hmm.
you're giving them something that they want to articulate. They maybe just don't know how to. And I very much believe in both the visual and the written word to kind of bring that all together. And it's just so
Hmm.
meaningful for people. And that's just a gift.
Yeah, I think they do. That is very true of a lot of people. When we had cards, my cards were blank for years and years.
Yeah.
And when we went with American Greetings, I think they definitely want words on the inside. And it kind of narrowed the situation, the sending situation down
Yeah.
when they did that. I prefer them blank. And some people would say, well, but then, what do you say on the inside? You say, love Susan. I mean, you
Yeah,
don't have to say
right.
anything. The card
Yeah.
will say it for you.
Yeah.
So,
So when you went through that down period where, the magazine went away, the stores went away, so the mom and pops weren't there, did you ever come to a point where you're like, I'm done?
no.
No. And it's
It never,
always driven by the need to create the work?
yeah. I mean, I was going to draw no matter what. And so we just would find a way to sell those drawings somehow. It was going to be different. Probably wasn't going to be as giant as it was during those little golden years, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it never occurred to me to stop it.
Well, I think every industry has these shifts. It's interesting. My husband's in medicine, and how it looks today is so different than it looked 30 years ago. My son is going into it, and I'm like, it's going to look completely different 30 years from now. I mean, and
Hmm.
that's just, I had a conversation. I teach at the university with the students yesterday, and it's a personal branding class, and we brought somebody in and coach, and he was talking about NIL, and we were talking about branding and all. I mean, and it was interesting. He's like, well, my players need more opportunity on their social to bring out their overall brand. Like they're not, I'm sitting there in class going, okay, class, well, here's an opportunity for a job down the road. Like, it's all changing
Yeah,
so quickly.
it's very
Everything is
different.
changing.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
And
I think
there's programs to learn how to be an influencer in some
yeah,
colleges.
I know. Although I've heard that influencers are probably that's another thing that's gonna change. I think that's not gonna be but maybe it will. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's
I
gonna happen?
think I always thought, and I've done this, and we've all done this for quite a bit, that was a little bit of the Wild West. And I think that the
Mhm.
days of just here's an obnoxious amount of money for one post is going to change, where they're going to look for that brand representative that really works, that connects with their brand and is authentic. Because I
Mhm.
think you see that. I always say that it's about know, like, and trust. And when you find a brand that you believe in and that you love, then you will lean into that. And
Mhm.
and I don't know. I just
Yeah, I get emails all the time from these different influencer companies wanting me to pitch their products, and some of them I'm like, "Why would they ask me to
Yeah.
pitch
right,
this?
right,
This
Yeah.
makes no sense." So
yeah,
I
Yeah.
rarely take them on, and it has to really, really resonate with me before I'll
yeah,
do it.
We've heard from a few, and, I wanna say no, I've done 1 or 2, and we've heard from them because I bought their product
Mhm.
yeah,
before, and so they call and say, "Would you wanna do something?"
Yeah, if
But
it's
I
art
don't
supplies, I'm all in.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
yeah,
But, yeah, that's a whole other new way of doing business. But, the art schools now, they teach, a lot of that computer-based art, and, I think companies that need an artist are looking for people who can work that way.
yeah,
Mhm.
Nobody's looking for somebody who does what I do.
Well, I know a couple companies that are really pushing for the people on staff to utilize AI in a bigger way.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, which I am I don't know how I feel about it. There are a couple of accounts on social media, and I can't think of their name. Zonder, I think is one of them.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean, they just do these fantastic, um,
yeah,
things. They're like dreams or
yeah,
something,
they're
yeah.
amazing.
but, why? But
Uh,
what are
is it
they
the one that does the
for?
acrylic that like does the I don't know, there's one that like they keep making things outside with like stones and different sand and then they pour resin over top of it. Have you seen that one?
I have
No.
seen that, but
Oh my
that's
god.
not
I
these
That's
know who you're talking about,
yeah,
Mary.
they're
He
that's
does
very
these weird
dreamlike.
characters doing
Oh,
these
I
weird
love
and
'em.
weird I
but
love
I've
those too.
I've been dabbling in it. I was sharing with Lori, and it's just changing so quickly because I can take my
Mhm.
photos and I can turn my photos into a Dutch master in seconds.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
just
it's
unbelievable. I was
yeah,
scrolling through and I came across my drawing animated, and I'm like, "Well, what? Where
yeah,
did this come from?" And we contacted the guy who was very, very nice. Um, and I said, that is a copyrighted piece of art."
yeah,
Um, and he said, "Oh, well, I do it for a lot of, I do it with a lot of artists' work, and they seem to like it." I said, "Well, I like it. I think it's cute, but we haven't decided yet, how we're going to deal with AI."
Yeah.
And
and would you like to pay me for it? Because this is how it
would
works.
you, yeah, what do
Yeah,
you think you're doing? And so I'm not. He was surprised
yeah,
because he evidently has not run into any other pushback. And so when I was coming up, somebody did that, you'd nail them.
Right,
yeah.
You'd
right.
call the lawyers and get your money. But
It's
now, apparently, they just kinda look at it as,
Oh, I know. I have a
free.
friend who she launched a line of these really fantastic birdhouses with these little birds going in and out, and a couple companies took all of her photos from her social media, set up these little websites, and are selling her products, but I wonder,
terrible.
like, are they just taking people's money then, and they never get a product because
Well, that's a good question because a
her
lot of that
products are
AI stuff,
handmade.
yes,
Yeah.
and a lot of that AI stuff, I actually fell for that, and ordered something I saw on Pinterest. They had an order section and everything. I forget what it was. Really cool looking, and I thought I was buying it. Of course, you're not buying anything. There's nothing there to buy.
Right.
It's just a cool AI.
It's so scary to me, and I mean, I like some things about it as a tool, but you don't know what to believe anymore.
Right.
Right,
You don't know what's
right.
true.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's interesting that nostalgia, or I'd even like to use the word authenticity, is where things are coming back to, because I think people want to touch and feel and hold on to things that they believe are good and
Mhm,
true. And that's the work that both of you are creating, which is just joyful and lovely and happy and all that we need. It's
yeah,
wonderful. Both of you are amazing. Both,
and
I
it's
will
fun
say.
for us to do, don't you think,
Yeah.
Lori? I
What's
mean,
Yeah.
that's
that?
the only way I'd wanna it's fun for us to do,
Yeah,
to make
Yeah.
art that way. I mean,
yeah,
that's we get so much pleasure from doing it.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's good therapy.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
good therapy and it's making our world a better place. And you guys are both putting just, Lori and I have talked about this, threads of hope or threads of joy out in the world that we all need. We all desperately need it. And it's just beautiful art. And sometimes in its beautiful simplicity, that's what we need more than anything,
Mhm.
authentic and real. And know that there are beautiful, real artists behind it too, which is incredible.
Well,
Mhm.
there's always a counter trend to everything. So
There
Mhm.
if
is.
everything's
We'll
all
come
about
back. Yeah.
AI, then the counter trend is real.
So the Mary Engelbreit brand now, what is happening with that?
Well, working on some of the usual stuff, the calendars and everything, and doing some new things, but we're also working towards in 2027 is my 50th anniversary of being in business. And
Whoa,
Wow.
so there's a lot of things we have going on for that. And
that's cool.
yeah, so
Wow.
Workman is going to do a book of my art and just a lot of different things that are happening that we'll let you all know about as they come up. But so that's kind of where our focus is right now.
Well,
That's
please do. That's a
exciting.
huge milestone. Will you be having a gathering or doing
Yeah,
celebration?
yeah, we're gonna have a big party
Ooh, fun.
at Washington U, who is has asked to put my things in their illustration archives.
Ah,
Um, and so there's just a lot of different things going on. It's going to be really fun, I think.
That's exciting.
that's
Mhm.
Is
amazing.
that where Linda taught?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, she taught illustration at Washington
Yeah.
U. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, so
Can't wait to
2027's
see.
big year. Well, Mary, this has just been the most delightful conversation. What a journey you have had, and what joy you have given to all of us along the year, or these many years.
Good. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's been fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. Lori, did you want to say anything?
I just I just admire you so much, and I wish I
Yeah.
lived near you so we could have coffee
It's
regularly.
fun. It's fun. All my friends, not
And
all, but most of my artistic friends all live away.
yeah,
So, I know it'd be so fun to just get together and make stuff.
You
yeah.
need to have a
Well,
master retreat of all you artists to come together
That'd be
and
fun.
well,
let
I
somebody
mean,
that
we have friends in common in St. Louis,
Mhm.
so I'll just come to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
would be amazing.
that would
Amazing.
be
Well,
so fun.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
And
you for having me. I really appreciate it.
thank you. And to our guests, peace, love, and ReBloom. Thanks for spending this time with us on ReBloom.
We hope something from today stays with you, maybe a thought, a feeling, or a spark of inspiration.
And if this conversation resonated, we really hope you'll share it with a friend.
We sure are grateful you're here, and we'll see you next time.